Hi everybody, I just wanted to tell you all a little bit about this drum set and then record a little sound sample of it. I put this set together from orphan drums that I found on eBay and Reverb. All of these drums came to me as just shells with no hardware. They're all 3-ply mahogany and poplar shells with re-rings, which to me is the magic shell recipe. The hardware is not all original. It's definitely a player's kit, and that's a good thing because I put this kit together so I could play it. The bass drum is a late 60s drum with pointy blue and olive badge, and that came to me with a very odd sort of homemade natural maple wrap that someone had glued onto the drum with contact cement. So I had it rewrapped with an aged white marine pearl wrap from Precision Drum. There's a nice drum shop a few hours away from where I live that restores drums. The shop is called Old School Drums. It's run by a guy named Avi Noam, who's a really great drummer and a fellow vintage drum enthusiast. And I had him remove the old wrap and put on this new one, and he also painted the hoops and did the inlays, and I think it looks really great. The lugs are vintage lugs, but I wanted to keep this project within a reasonable budget, so I didn't go with original vintage T-rods. I picked up some standard Taiwanese-made tension rods and bass drum claws, and I had to replace the lug inserts as well so they'd fit, because they were 6mm tension rods and the originals were 5mm. And Ludwig still makes these big chunky, curved, disappearing spurs, so I got a new set of those, and I'm a fan of them. They're solid and they look nice, easy to use. The rack tom is also from the late 60s with the pointy blue and olive badge. The drum is faded quite a bit. It's maybe a little yellower than the bass drum. The lugs, hoops, and tension rods on this one are all new Ludwig hardware. So the lugs don't have any springs, and the hoops are 2.3mm triple flanged hoops instead of the original 1.6mm hoops that would have been on there. The floor tom is an early 60s drum. This one has a keystone badge, and this one has some serious yellowing and a lot of wear and tear on the wrap. You can see here that this drum was rubbing against something, probably the bass drum, for years, and it wore through the outer layer of the wrap. But I think it's cool. It's got some mojo, and it sounds great. I had Gary from Precision Drum redo these bearing edges for me, so it tunes up real nice, and it has that sound that I'm looking for in a vintage 3-ply floor tom. I've got several snare drums to choose from, but I'm using a B-stock 6.5-inch deep Superphonic that I like to use with this drum set. For heads, I've got coated emperors on the tops of the toms and the snare drum, and coated ambassadors on the bottoms of the toms, and a hazy ambassador on the snare side. I've got a coated Renaissance Power Stroke 1 on the batter side of this bass drum, and I've got a smooth, hazy Power Stroke 1 felt tone head on the reso side. I usually just use white coated on the batter and a white smooth on the reso side, but the drum shop didn't have them this time, and I thought that these heads would match the sort of yellowed, aged look of the kit, and I actually think that they suit the drums quite well. I like big cymbals, and I've got a 24-inch K-Lite ride and a 22-inch K-Lite ride, along with a 20-inch K crash ride and a pair of 16-inch K-Lite hi-hats on the kit right now, and I really like how they sound together. I've also got a plate installed here that was made by Indie Drum Lab. It's made to retrofit the hole spacing for the Ludwig diamond plate mounts, and they work with the Indie tom holder. I've got this same plate installed on 2 other bass drums, and I've got another bass drum with a rail mount retrofit from Indie, and one more with the drill-free rail. And I really love it because I can have my hardware case packed with just one tom holder, and I can take any one of those 5 bass drums out to a gig and not need to go double check and make sure that I've got the right hardware packed for the kit that I'm bringing. I think that's about it for this setup, so I'll just play a bit and let you hear how they sound.